Hey there, Raelan here. I've got another quick video for you from my new series called Quick Tips and Topics, which is made up of short videos in response to your request for some shorter videos. So in addition to the full-length, longer video that I put out every Monday morning on my channel at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, I will put out 1 to 2 additional videos later in the week that are shorter with a quick tip for you to consider or topic to discuss. So today's video is about pacing with chronic illness recovery. So whether you are currently experiencing something like chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgic encephalomyelitis, long COVID, fibromyalgia, any of these chronic conditions where your energy is limited, pacing, I've found, is essential. Now, what is pacing? What does that even mean? Pacing is your energy conservation and your energy allocation, because in my experience with chronic fatigue syndrome recovery, your energy is your most valuable resource. So what you do with that energy is important. And pacing is not just about, if you want to recover, in my experience, it's not just about making sure that you don't use more energy than you have. Pacing is about making sure that every day that you use the vast majority of whatever usable energy you have on things that are going to help you recover. So not on dishes and laundry and dealing with family drama, on things that are helping you to get well. And the pacing strategy that I'm going to share in this video, I call pay yourself first. It's sort of like when we think of our finances. I know I've been hearing this for at least 20 years. With your finances, it's important to always pay yourself first. And I always misunderstood, or at least for a long time, what this meant. I thought it meant when I got my paycheck, when payday came, pay myself first, which meant buy myself some new shoes or take myself out for a really nice dinner. I thought that was paying myself first, but that wasn't paying me first. That was paying the shoe guy first. That was paying the restaurant first. With your finances, paying yourself first is making sure that you take a chunk of your money and you put it into savings or you put it into investments. And yes, investments is giving it to somebody else, but it's temporarily with the understanding that you're going to get it back and hopefully with interest. So I found it's a lot like that with chronic illness recovery. When you think of your energy, you have to think about paying yourself first. And it sounds simple. And I guess it is simple, but it's not always easy because we have throughout the day all of these moments where we have to make a decision and we have to decide what we're going to do with our energy. So in those moments, you think, okay, I have a little bit of energy. What am I going to do with it? My suggestion is that your first thought is always, how do I pay myself first? This energy is my most valuable commodity. And I needed to put it towards myself first before I can put it outwards towards anybody or anything else. So what does that look like? That could be in the moment that you make sure you get in your daily meditation practice, if that's something that's important to you, before you even look at your to-do list. Meditation first, then open the to-do list. Or it might be taking a few minutes to do some journaling, writing to yourself first, taking that time to process things, to do your gratitude practice, to write about all the things that are helping you with your mental health and your mindset. And doing that journaling before you start writing to other people, before you start answering emails and responding to people on social media. And pacing isn't all about just energy allocation. It's also about rest allocation and conservation. So pay yourself first might be taking a nap before cleaning up the kitchen, or taking some time to do some meal prep for yourself for the week and get some healthy food ready before you take some time to help out a friend. I know we want to be there for other people, and yes, overall in life this is important, but when you are trying to recover from illness, you have to put yourself first. In my experience, I really had to get hyper-focused and use virtually all of my energy and all of my focus on things that were going to get me well. Once you're healthy and strong and thriving, then you will have lots of energy to spare. And you can pay yourself first, because you'll still have to do that when you're healthy. But you'll still have lots of energy left over to help other people. We don't like feeling selfish, but selfishness is what's going to get you out of this. Paying yourself first means in every moment, in every decision you make, saving yourself first. And a good way to think of it would be, I'm not going to use that tired old analogy of the plane and the oxygen mask and how you have to put yours on first. If I hear that one more time. One thing that does come to mind, though, is that a few years back, did the training and became certified as a rescue diver, so a rescue scuba diver. And it's quite intense training. And all of it is about, as the name implies, rescuing other people. So they teach you if you're diving and someone underwater who is also diving has a heart attack or they faint, they have a stroke, like what do you do? How do you handle it? And how do you help get them above water and get them the help that they need? Or if somebody's drowning, you're on the surface waiting to do a dive and something happens and someone starts to drown, or you notice someone drowning who's just swimming nearby, what do you do? And in this training throughout, the thing that they drill into you is always that you, the rescue diver, are always priority number one. Your life is the most important life in that situation. You put it first, always, before saving that other person. If there is someone on the surface and they're drowning, we're taught that there's a zone close to them that you don't even go near. You don't even get to a point where they can touch you or reach you because they're going to pull you down. They're frantic and they're scared and they're trying to save themselves. So you keep your distance and you protect yourself. And it's the same thing with chronic illness recovery. Like, we want to help everybody else, and that's a good thing. And we can help other people, but it cannot be at the expense of ourselves. And just one final thing that I'll add in, just when thinking about your chronic illness recovery as a whole, we'll go back to a financial analogy. I'm just jumping all over the place with these analogies. But I think it can be helpful to think of your recovery sort of like you think of your finances, sort of like you think of your investments. So if you're an investor, if you're educated, if you're learning about it, if you're paying attention to the stock market and you're investing wisely and you're putting the time, and energy into it to make it be successful, overall, those investments and those savings should go up. But it's not a steady straight line all the way up to your financial goals. It dips, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And, in every one of those dips, we can't think to ourselves, I'm going to lose all my money. This isn't working. It's a big failure. You just have to keep your eye on the trajectory, the word that I use to death, but I just think it's so important. So just like with your finances, how it's up and down all the way, and you can't stress every little dip and think that you're failing. Your overall health recovery is the same, and you're not going to ever be perfect with your pacing. As hard as you try, it's just not possible. And you're going to have some days that feel like you're not getting anywhere or you're going backwards. Your health recovery is going to have those dips. And I think it's important to, in those dips, take a step back and look at the overall picture and look at the overall direction that you're going and not stress every little dip and every little bad day. Just keep your eye on the direction you're going and don't compare yourself to how you used to be. Like, I'm still so far away from, how I was before I became unwell. Compare yourself to the progress that you've made in your recovery journey, everything that you've learned, all of the small gains over time. Sometimes it can be hard to see how much progress we're actually making until we take a step back and look at the big picture. So hang in there. Whatever you're facing, I know it can be an absolute nightmare and it can feel like you're stuck and you're never going to get out. I think virtually every single one of us who goes through this kind of health journey feels that way at multiple points, but just keep going. Be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself, be forgiving when you're not perfect, find ways to stay hopeful, find ways to stay on track, and I believe you will get there. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your pacing tips in the comments. Let's share our strategies, build our toolkit, and get out of this together.